What's up, everybody? It is Bender Stuffer here once again, and as always, or of recently, we are playing Age of Empires 4. And today I'm going to be showcasing a 4v4 standard match. And today is going to be a shorter video. I'm really going to focus on my opening build. And honestly, it's a great build. You may have to play it a little bit different depending on what kind of match you play, who you're playing against. Like if you're playing against 4 English, this build may not be the build to go for. If you're playing a 1v1, playing against some Mongols, playing against a small map, you definitely have to adjust this build accordingly. But if you're just looking for a solid opening build to, get your feet wet in the game, I feel like this is a great build for you. Now, in this build, we're not going to be very aggressive in here. If anything, we're going to be turtling. And honestly, that's okay, because most 4v4 matches I play, you're given a little bit of grace with how you open. Most of the action tends to take place in the Castle Age or Imperial Age. So today we're really just going to be rushing up to the Castle Age. And so you can see here we're playing against 2 Chinese, 1 Mongols, and a French, and it's just going to be a complete mirror match. And I was really looking forward to this match. Unfortunately, one of the other teammates left, so it wasn't a very long match. But as you will come to see, that this build opening is really great and superior, especially if you're Chinese, and just how they're played, using those unique units to your advantage, and just making the most out of your gameplay. So I would like to say, as the start, we are always going to put the 6 villagers on that single sheep we get. We're also going to be placing control groups on our town center and our scout. And so there you can see 6 villagers on sheep. We're sending out that scout, and we were lucky enough to have 2 sheep right next to each other. So I just immediately tell that scout to go back and drop off that sheep, and I just send out the other. After he drops off the sheep, I'm going to send that scout out again to collect more sheep, kind of get map awareness. And so we thought we were just gonna we thought we were playing on I forget what map it's called, but just the one that has a single opening in the middle, and maybe has some additional openings, pathways around. So so we're kind of communicating, okay, I'm going to rush Castle Age to get those walls. And so you can see here, my first 2 villagers, the first one built a house so we don't get supply blocked, and then he went on to build a mine. And then the second villager I created, I tell him to go on gold. And this timing really works out well. And see, typically in my previous builds, I tell the next villager to go get on lumber, but I really wanted to rush here. I didn't want to have any delay, so I immediately tell my next worker created, to go get on food. And so hopefully that's gonna even out everything, and all the timing is gonna work out, which it did. And so actually I put my next 2 villagers I created after getting the initial 2 to go work on food. And so you can see here, my scout is scouting around, collecting some sheep. And I notice here that the opening my scout took was not right up against the edge of the map. So I took him around, and I kind of scouted, like, okay, how big is this opening? Is there like another mountain there, another pass? Like, what's going on? And it turned out that opening was pretty big. So we weren't going to be able to wall like I thought. So at this sense, I'm already committed here. I'm not really going to mess around with it. We're just going to get rush the Castle Age. So you can see here that I was 1 gold short. I took them 1 second too short, and I took off my villagers off food, but it worked out pretty decently. And then here you can see I have that 400 food, I have that 200 gold, and we're gonna drop the Imperial Palace here. And so I take my workers off food. I take 5 workers off food, 2 off gold, and then I just rally them after they're done building. Okay, it was like, hey, you're gonna go get on food again, and then those 2 villagers that were mining gold are gonna go back to mine gold. And so there you can see I still just have one villager on wood because we're going to be rushing to that next age. We're really not going to be focusing on wood. As long as we have enough wood to get a mill, to get a house, I'm perfectly happy with that right at this second. So you can see here I'm popping out an Imperial official, which I thought was a villager at first, but when I was doing this cast over, and I intentionally made it the Imperial office, just so he can go around and collect gold, so we don't have to put any more villagers on gold. So you can see here I have the Imperial official collecting some gold, and then this next villager that's going to come out, since I was going to rush Castle Age and I do eventually want to get another town center, I was just going to put one villager on stone. So you can see here I have him over. I put him next to the tree line, the mill, just because I felt like that was maybe the most appropriate position, maybe easiest to defend, kind of retreat back to the town center if needed. And then after I make that additional villager to go get stone, I just rally up my next villagers to go collect some food here. And then, yeah, so I have my scout running around right now. And then what I'm going to do with my scout here in a minute is go take him around the other edge and kind of see like, okay, is there another opening or is that the only opening? Because if that's the only opening, it probably would be worth walling off. But, you know, it is what it is. And you can see here that I'm putting an additional, I think, 3 or 4 villagers on gold. So, yeah. So I feel like that's going to be a sufficient amount of gold income. And okay, so here's what I did. I took a villager off of food. I rallied the additional villagers on food, and I had 4 villagers on gold. So yeah. And so you see here, my guy's still collecting wood. He just brought him back, and we're going through sheep kind of fast. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of those villagers in a minute and go make a mill. Now, unfortunately, I did mess up the build a little bit because I built a house instead of a mill, but it all worked out pretty well. Definitely would be kind of a crucial thing if you were in a rush. So yeah, so I take that one villager off of wood and I tell him to go build a house. So I don't get supply blocked. And basically I'm just making all my additional villagers go on food. So you can see here I have the 4 up top mining gold, the 1 villager mining stone, the 1 on wood, and then we have the Imperial official walking around to get that extra gold. And so we already are at 600 food and 330 gold. So we're almost halfway there to building up to the castle age. Now some games, if you have to take a more defensive posture turtling, at this point it might be worth getting to the barricade of the sun. And you can see here I just misclicked a little bit. I didn't realize it was 1200 food and 600 gold. So, but it's no biggie. It didn't really affect us all that much. So after we get about 12 villagers on food, I think I take a couple of them and I go put them on wood to kind of just speed up our lumber economy, trying to get the necessary resources we need to build that other town center. And so you can see at this point my sheep are dwindling and I need to go berry hunting or just find an additional source of food. And you can see there I also built a house instead of a mill that was completely 100% supposed to be a mill. So that was a little unfortunate. I catch it here in a minute, but that was the only flaw in this build I could really muster of. So yeah. So you can see here OJ is starting to build a wall over on the other side of the base. If you look at the mini map, he's just trying to wall off our opponents there. I don't know how aggressive they're getting. It looks like he has a little army over there. I never quite looked over. I was just kind of focused on my own thing. So I put an additional villager on stone just to kind of like, hey, I kind of want to mine a little bit more stone, get there a little faster, because I felt like my wood was going to reach that 400 limit instead of faster than my stone. So that's the only reason why I put it on the extra villager on stone. And you can see here that I took all my villagers off of food and I told him to build the astronomical clock tower. And I didn't want to take any off wood because I have so few mining wood. I didn't want to take any off of stone because I just have the two. And you can see there I was going to send those 4 villagers to go make those stone walls, but upon re-inspecting the environment again, I told them to come back, and I was just like, okay, you're all going to collect food after this. And after I get that astronomical clock tower down, I'm just going to rally all my other troops, I believe, or all my other villagers to go chop down some wood. So you can see there, I'm already at the castle age. And basically at this point, what I was going to do is work on getting the Song Dynasty and get that extra town center to get that faster villager production, because I'm in a state right now where, hey, if I really needed to, I could pump out a nest of bees, I could get another barracks or archery range, and just, you know, turtle in a little bit. So that's why this build order kind of works a little bit. And you can see here that the other teammates just left. I don't know if me getting the castle age really frightened them. I think orange and blue were fighting a little bit. Orange was putting pressure on them. So it was probably a combination of things, like, hey, we're not going against scrubs, so a 3v4 probably will not be viable. So we're just going to run through the end recap real quick to kind of show my timings here and just how effective this build is. So the overview, and then we're going to go to the timeline here. You can just see how far of advance I get to the feudal age, and then I almost beat somebody to the castle age before they're able to get to the feudal age, which was mildly impressive. They probably were newer to the game, so it probably wasn't a scrub or anything. He was probably putting some defensive applications around. I really don't know. I don't have access to replays here, and so here in a second we're going to see the actual times. So I had a 3-minute and 4-second time to age 2, the feudal age, and then I had an 8-minute castle age. So I mean, honestly, I feel like this is a really efficient build, and